What's going on, people? So, got some Disney shoes in here, according to the shipping notice and all that stuff, the order information. So, unless something didn't work out right at the factory, wherever that factory may be, should be some Disney shoes in here, right? Some Ghost 17s to be more exact. Then again, there were two pairs of Ghost 17s this year. This would be the Chip and Dale ones to be even more exact. So, there's that, right? And that's what that says. Yeah, so far things are looking good, right? Let's go ahead and get these things opened up here real quick, see what's going on. Hopefully things work out as far as, fits, sizing, all that stuff goes, but we'll work it out as we do this. So first up, make sure everything looks like it's supposed to look, and I'm gonna say that it does. Don't Doesn't look like there's anything wrong as far as blemishes, scuffs, and all that stuff, which is good because these did sell out slowly, very slowly, but they did eventually sell out, right? I think there are still some other Disney 2026 pairs out there right now on the Brooks site. That is, I can't think of which ones though. But either way, so since things are looking fine, we're gonna go ahead and get on into the reviews portion of this or whatever. So this right here, for those that might have missed it, this is the Brooks slash Disney Ghost 17, right? It's the Chip and Dale colorway. So on this one, you have Dale, and then on this one, you have Chip, right? Growing up, I was a big fan of that, as someone who was a child in the mid 80s, it's kind of a thing that a lot of us were watching at that point, right? So when I saw these coming along, I was like, that's the one out of this whole pack. That's the one I want. And here we are. So yay for me. Down across the bottom, this one has red on the bottom. This other one does not. It's kind of blacked out, right? Otherwise, things are largely going to be the same. Standard stuff that you've seen on a lot of like standard Brooks running shoes. Nothing crazy going on down there. Moving on up here, midsole wise, right? Got a little bit of a gradient thing, so it's kind of like a tannish sort of color. Then you got a whitish sort of color. On the inside, though, it's a little bit more of the tan than it is the white, so not so much of an even split. And what's that? Down there just has the Run Disney thing. On the inside, DNA Loft, because I won't say all because I don't know if it's all, but a lot of the a lot of the Brooks shoes have some sort of DNA or some sort of nitrogen foam down in there. It's all a little bit different, but it's all largely nitrogen, right? And even the ones that do have like the same thing, like DNA Loft, DNA Flash, DNA Tuned, whatever. Obviously, much like with the ASICS ones, not every one is going to feel exactly the same just because it has the same foam down there. Different amounts of it and all that stuff are going to lead to different feelings. And some are made for like stability, some support, some made for neutral, some for comfort. It's a whole thing. Just know that just because you see a name that you've seen before doesn't mean you'll get the same experience that you've had before. Moving on, not midsole, upper wise and all that stuff. This is very much like the standard sort of stuff that you would probably see on a lot of these types of shoes, right? Mesh, kind of a dual layer thing because you can kind of see under there. There's another color and all that stuff, right? Has a nice little look to it. One of the main differences, though, being on the side here, where it has the Brooks thing, it's going to be like furry, and that's on both sides, right? And then that's another part where they slipped in a slight color shift. So this one, the Chip pair, has black. It also has black laces on both of them, which I was expecting like would be different. The only thing that's different in there is going to be like the inside where it has like the little ghost tab. But anyway, so got a little bit of a fur thing going on, and then on the back, again, you have Dale over here, and then you have Chip over here, right? So you can kind of tell by the nose that they're a little bit different. Otherwise, very similar. And then let's see, jumping back over to the front, right? So one of the big things about this that had me questioning how these are going to feel, honestly, is the tongue. So you can kind of see like the tongue is like going to be that same furry sort of stuff that they had on the side, right? Get these laces out of the way to some extent here. So you can kind of see what I'm talking about just a little bit, I guess. And that's going to be all down onto the inside, right? So it makes me wonder if this tongue is going to be like thicker than the standard Ghost 17 tongue would be. So I tried on a pair at the store the other day in a 9.5, and it worked out fine, felt fine or whatever. But I did order a 10 also just in case, because they have free returns and stuff, and it's better to just deal with it all up front than trying to deal with it on the back. Dump it down onto the inside. Got the Brooks thing going on down in there. Over on this one, same color layout, just this one says Run Disney. It's got like Mickey Mouse in there. So that's what's happening with that. Otherwise, like I said, only other difference being that this has a black tab and the other one had a red tab. So real quick, I'm going to slip this thing on and tell you some things. So one minor shift from the previous model. Now I don't have like a standard pair of the Ghost 7 or Ghost 16s, right? So I can't really talk too much about them. I'll get into what comparison I can do in a second. But one thing that did change from last year to this year, or last model to this model, is that the height is going to be the same, but the difference, I believe it's the same, but the difference being like the heel drop, right? So this one, it has 36 in the back, about 26 in the front. So it's a 10, right? 10 millimeter drop from front to back. Last year, it was a 12, which is part of the reason I didn't really care to get one, honestly, because just for me, like it just feels a little weird in like the higher elevations or the higher drops, I should say. So I just was kind of just not getting them, right? But the thing to me is like there's a million pairs of running shoes out there. So if you don't like one thing, it kind of just doesn't matter because a lot of people are doing all the same stuff anyways. So you can just find another thing. And even right there within Brooks, you can find just another thing if you want to stick within that world or whatever. So not a big deal. But either way, so yeah, I skipped the Ghost 16 for the most part for that reason. But I did get the weatherized one because, it's good to have like certain options. But just as far as like standard running shoes, I just opted not to. Anyways, so as far as this goes though, things are feeling fine. They're feeling pretty good. There's not like a whole lot of room in there. And the tongue part does feel like, you're kind of missing out on some space that you would probably have if you were wearing a standard one. That might kind of break in a little bit, so I won't like harp on it too much. And again, the biggest thing for me being that putting these on right now, yeah, they feel fine. Once I get up and walk around in them, they should still feel fine because I did that at the store. But again, with like a slightly higher drop than some of the other things, sometimes it can make you feel like you're like more towards the front, like there's going to be less room because your foot's slipping forward or whatever. But again, I'll get that figured out. But for right now, I would say that true to size is working out all right. Like I said, there's not a whole lot of room left to right. It seems like there's a decent amount front to back, but the side, that might be an issue. I think they do make wide versions of the standard releases. So, you could look into that, I suppose. But I think this will be all right. At the end of the day, though, these are widely available in a lot of stores, the Ghost, that is, in general, because it's one of the bigger sellers for Brooks. So you could always just go try a pair on. I mean, I would always suggest that anyways, because even if you agree with me on the whole sizing thing, you may not agree with me on like the comfort. Maybe you'll like these more or less than me, right? It happens. It happens all the time. But anyway, so this is built for like daily neutral wear, right? So if you want support, you might want to go get an Adrenaline as a daily shoe. But this one, it's going to be good for just neutral feeted people and all that stuff. If you don't have any pronation type issues and whatnot, this is something to consider, right? People have said that a lot of the models have been getting a little softer over the years, right? Because everything's leaning more towards cushion now. I can't speak on that, but it does seem to be true. Anyway, so one thing I can compare though. So this is a Ghost 16, right? It's one of the weatherized ones. I think there was like one other color. But so like I was saying, and it doesn't look like you can tell too much. I mean, maybe by the design, but this would have had like a higher or steeper heel drop than this one did, and I think this one does set possibly like a little bit higher. I can't remember what the details were, but either way, it's going to be a 10 millimeter drop versus these. And the one thing I will throw out there, I did wear these recently for the first time, finally, after having these for like a year and something, because I was in Iowa and it made sense to bring these. It's like 1 degree or something, like when I was out there for like the last day, and before that it was like 15, so it was not great as far as temperatures go. But these did actually work out very well. This is a weatherized shoe, so if you need something that's going to be for cold weather, there's a little bit of like water repellentness going on and all that stuff, sure, But if you want actual waterproof shoes, go get the Gore-Tex ones. If you just want something for the colder weather, that's where these weatherized ones were helpful. They would have been nice to have on the run that I did out there. But, I had the Hyperion Max 3 because it's what made sense and, not concerning the weather. And then I regretted it for about 38 minutes while I was out there. Anyway, so back to these though. Standard Ghost, right? They do also have if you want the extra cushion, they do have a Ghost Max 3. This happens to be a Disney version, right? It's got a little Epcot thing on the back. There does have to be a Ghost Max version out there if that's the thing you're into. And I will say this, I wore these a good bit last week, and they don't look like much. Same as I said about the Ghost Max 2, but they perform pretty well. I was able to move at some decent paces and all that stuff. So no issues with that. It held up very well on a 7.5 mile run. And then again on like an 8 mile thing, like 2 days later, I didn't feel slow at any point, which is also what you want. They look heavier than they feel, which is a cool thing too. So yeah, I would highly suggest trying out the Ghost Max 3. There are some slight differences from the 2, and it's really just like it's like the Kayano 31 to 32, right? You have to put it on and really get out there to notice it. So for one, the upper is just going to be a little bit thinner, right? Which is good. It's more comfortable that way. The midsole did feel a little bit more cushiony, which is a thing that most people will be into. Initially, I was not a huge fan of it, but going out and running around in them, all in all, it came down to me feeling that the Ghost Max 3 is better than the Ghost Max 2, even if only slightly. So yeah, I'm hoping that these work out well too, but we'll see what happens. I mean, Brooks hasn't wronged me yet. They probably would have wronged me if I bought those Hyperion 3s, because I heard some bad things from most people that like the Hyperion series. So wasn't thrilled about that, because the Hyperion 2 was like the thing that made me a Brooks fan. They said, hey, try this shoe out. It's probably for you. And it worked out great. So then when you see a lot of negativity about the 3, and even though I didn't wear it, so I can't completely say anything about it, I did try a pair on in a store, and I was like, I kind of see where these complaints are coming from. So it is what it is. But yeah, these right here, this is the shoe that I wanted. I was pretty glad to get it because I didn't go to the Disney thing this year, right? And it looks like, real quick, not to distract from things, but it looks like I did get into the Cherry Blossom Run this year, which is cool. So I'll be doing that up in DC. If anybody's up in DC next month, no, in April, and you're doing it, let me know. Maybe we can run it together or something. So I think that is it, right? My throat is not great right now. I don't know what that's been about. Must be like, I did say something about allergies earlier, like extra pollen in the air. So I have some content to record about some shoes because I've just been super neglecting that. But one thing that I will say, since it is the 21st, today happens to be the 3 was forever ago, 7-year birthday or anniversary, whatever you want to call it, of this here YouTube channel. So 7 years of me sitting here fumbling my way through reviews, hoping nobody notices that I'm not that good at it, And I'm still here, still doing it, 7 years later, right? Which is, I didn't have any goals when I sat down to start doing this all that time ago. It was just something to fill the time, But it worked out well. It was going fine. I was having a good time doing it, met some cool people in this world, Honestly, I kind of fell out of the YouTube world in a lot of ways as far as being social. I don't really do that as much as I probably should. But, a lot of this is kind of just like a personal thing anyway, not a whole lot of group stuff going on, at least not from what I'm seeing. So I don't feel too bad about it, but hopefully if anybody's watching this that I am friends with, even though we don't talk a whole lot because I don't talk to most people a whole lot, hopefully you're doing all right. So there is that. But anyways, I'm done. From me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, wherever you are. I am going to record a slightly longer version of what I just said, but it'll be in stunning high definition, and then it'll be uploaded into the channel as a real video, like not a real like Instagram reel, but real like REAL, like real, So there's that. From me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, wherever you are. I feel like I might have just said that already. whatever, doesn't matter. Said it again because I meant it. So hopefully that is true. And like whatever you do with the next several hours is of value. That's enough out of me. I'm going to leave. Oh, thanks for watching. If anybody happened to watch this, I do try to say that. It doesn't always come off sounding sincere because I can hear it, right? I'm sure you hear it. It probably sounds very flat, very hollow, but I do mean it, right? So if I didn't mean it, I wouldn't say it because it'd be a waste of my time. So look at it like that. All right, later, people.